coming up on today's episode.
Alright, what I'm here today doing on the bench is all these pins, these are the ones that go to the CPU boards. And I say the CPU boards, it's got the MCU, it's got the, I don't know what all. Bob went over it with me. Something I think was the CD controller. I don't know. They're all there on that one board. And this is the bus for it. Header pins, whatever you want to call them. And I want to go through and check. And in order to get this like I want it, I've got my meter hooked up. And you'll hear the beep here in just a second. I'm going to put the minus into the minus on the speaker jack, and you can see when I hit this little button here, we get continuity. Yay! So I can use the this lead. You can see it's hooked into the speaker, the negative on the speaker jacks. One of them, it doesn't matter, they're common. Like I said, and they do common with the ground bus. So that's my ground for the system, where I can just go through and measure these one at a time. And I'm going to try to go down through there, and I can't get close enough to get the words and everything on there. Each one of these pins are marked what they are, and I will do a close-up of those as well, so that we can see what each one measures. And I'm going to do this one at a time, obviously. And we'll go from there and do that measurement. So let me get my measurement set to voltage, DC. And let me plug it in. Yep, I hear the fan running. So, like I said, we're going to go through one at a time and get some measurements here. 3.52, 3.55, 3.6, and that's millivolts. I got to kind of watch that. It changes on me. But these here were, yeah, volts, okay. But yeah, that was millivolts. Number 4 here is 2.4 millivolts. Number 5 is 3.31, 3.32. 7 is 3.22. 8 is 0.76 volts. 588 millivolts. And next one is 3.31. Next one is 3.31. Next one is 3.30. And we'll go down to the next row. That is 0.3 millivolts. Not much. That one is 0.3 millivolts. Not much, again. That one is 0.5 millivolts. This is 3.31 volts. If I don't say millivolts, you know it's volts, okay? This one is 3.32. This one's 3.30. This one is 2.66. This one is 3.63. 3.30. 3.31. 3.31, 3.31. Now that's all this header pin on this side. Now let's go down the other side. And we'll start at the top row again. That's 3.31, 3.33, 10.90. That's a little bit higher than most of them. 2.4 millivolts, 3.30, 2.4 millivolts, 3.30, 1.47 volts, 3.32, 4.6 millivolts, 1.69, 3.31, down to the next row, 1.38, 10.90, 2.4 millivolts, 3.30, 1.72, 2.4 millivolts, 3.31, 3.31, 3.32, 2.4 millivolts, 1.47, And lastly is 3.30. Now, that's the quick look at all of them. Again, I'll try to match them up with what the lines say they are on the display here. Well, not the display, but the board legend, or whatever you want to call that. And then we'll go from there as far as seeing which ones match up to which ones and things like that. Hopefully that will prove something. I don't know. But for those who don't think there is power present here on this board, it is absolutely present. If you guys remember last time, the bottom of that switch over there, the power switch, measured 3.3 volts. Now, so obviously, I'm going to say one of these is going to match that switch. One of them is going to go directly to that switch, I would think. That might be my next objective, is to match that one to the pins that, and it may be more than one pin. Bob was talking about it may pull more than one down. But basically what that does, as he said, is pull that down to ground, and that starts the MCU, supposedly. So that's what we're looking at. And again, this is going to be, if I can't find anything out this way, we're pretty much done with this, because you get down to this level of troubleshooting, unless you're good at it, and I'm not, there's not much you can do without a schematic to know what voltages are supposed to be where and things like that. You can guess, and you can and you know, do what I'm doing here. You can just go through and poke and hope, and hope you can get things going, but that doesn't always work. I was talking to Brendan yesterday. Y'all remember Brendan? He was talking about one that he couldn't fix, and we were talking back and forth, and I was telling him about this one. He said the MCU stuff, he said, generally is, if there's power, they work. They don't go bad very often, I don't think. And so this is a kind of a way of trying to see if it's actually getting a signal to start, because obviously if it's not going from that power switch up there down to here, then there's a break in the line, there's whatever causing a problem, then that might be the solution to the whole thing, is finding that problem. But for right now, you've seen, I think every pin had something on it. There was none on there that didn't have anything. And one of the other things I wanted to mention, let me get this unplugged from there so I can turn this around. I do have all the wires hooked up now that you can see here. This is the one for the CD-ROM that wasn't plugged in. I found where it plugged in and plugged that in. Everything is plugged in like it should be. There's nothing out of the ordinary here that's not plugged in. And the other part of this is, let me take you down here on this side. And there was an anomaly of some kind keeping that board from making good contact over there where the header pins are. And I fixed that. I don't know exactly what I did to it, but I basically left the board hold downs, these screws here. There's two screws that hold it down. Left them out, and as I was putting it in, I moved this main board up and down to get it to seat properly. And once it's seated properly, I could screw these screws in without it pulling the board away, and that's what I've done. And all that is good and tight now. It's making good contact, and so that can't be the problem. I thought it was at one time, but don't think so. I would like to find the same one on the switch, that line that takes to the switch, and match that up to one of these pins. But that's going to be my next chore, as far as if the readings come out pretty good and everything, because I've got to find some way of holding my meter lead on one pin or the other. In fact, it'll have to be on the it'll obviously have to be on the switch. And the pins we're talking about are these two here. Now these both were common. I pointed that out in the last video. These measure exactly the same on anything because there's a line between there. So this was at 3.3 volts, and like I say, there was 3.3 on this one as well. So if I can hold, you know, on this and go through with the other lead and check each one of those lines going in to the CPU board, that header pin there, and match them up and see which one of that line, or maybe one more than one line, I don't know, would be nice to see. And then we could tell, you know, then that actually we are getting a signal down there. Because what happens is when you press that board in, or that switch in, these two here are at ground level, and they ground that bottom one up and ground the bottom one down, and that takes the voltage away on that pin, or these pins down here, and that does the same to the processor board down there. So it'd be helpful to know when we press this switch which one of these pins down below that we just looked at and measured the voltages on, which one is actually going low. Well, that would be nice. Now I got to have one hand on the switch, and we'll go. I'm gonna just go down through them without doing anything. I don't think they're. Remember, I said that. Oh, fourth one down on the top, and it says. I think it says GND right there. So that's not a. That's not a. Okay, so going on down. Just I'm gonna do this top row, and that's all I'm gonna do. Just check and see. Okay, there was the one. Let's just check and see now with the switch on in. And still ground, but none of the other ones appear to be. So none of those are ground. All right, let's go down the second row. This first one's a ground. Second one. Third one wasn't, fourth one wasn't, and so on. Okay, so now we're going to go down to here where the first two were. So third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So none of the rest of them ground when the switch is pressed in. Okay, let's go down this pin row here. See if we have any that's grounded from, oh, right there we have one. Okay. That one says ground. I can read it right on the board. I'm thinking some of them measured like 2.4 millivolts or something like that. Maybe. Because all of them had a little voltage on them. Okay, so there's several grounds down through there. Let's just see what we come up with when we do this. Yeah, that one's ground from the beginning. That one's ground from the beginning. Okay, none of those. All right, so what we're going to do now is watch that whole this section again, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and start it up. Let's go down this pin row here. See if we have any that's grounded from. That's clearly, you can see GND right there, marked ground. Oh, right there we have one. Okay. That one says ground. And again, you can see GND right there. Now I can read it right on the board. I'm thinking some of them measured like 2.4 millivolts or something like that. Maybe. They did. Because all of them had a little voltage on them. Okay, so they're... Now you heard that end one there. It just beeped. I clearly heard it. It's on the video. As I heard it. I looked at the video closely. I did it in slow motion. I was on that last pin when it did that. Now, follow me on this. Several grounds down through there. Let's just see what we come up with when we do this. Now, I said when we do this, what I was doing was holding power switch in, which is grounding the whatever was supposed to be grounded. That grounds the switch. So let's keep going. That's the same as the first one.
Yeah, that was ground from the beginning.
That one's the same
That
as
was
the first
ground
one.
from the beginning. Okay, none of the...
Now you saw, you saw very clearly. I had my pointer right on the top of that last pin, and it didn't make any noise. Now it doesn't make sense, and I didn't even catch this until I edited the video, and I was telling Bob about it. And so what I did, I went back into the workshop and did the whole test again. Not the whole test, but just that last row, that row that I just had a reading on for one time and didn't have a reading on the second time. That last pin there that says draw in SW CD reset. Now I don't know. Bob seemed to think that was to pull the tray in. He said he really didn't understand why it would do that. So again, when I went back and checked it, I did not get a beep on whether the switch was pressed in or let out. It didn't beep. So only thing I can think of is that was either I had touched something accidentally, which again I've looked at that, clearly looked at that, and I'm not touching anything but that pin. And so I don't know what the problem is, but it you know, when I rechecked it, it does not show ground either way with the switch in or out. So I'm going to say that was a false positive or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but again, that's what I saw. So we'll go ahead and continue the video.
Now this is proving kind of interesting to begin with. Let's do this last row and see what's grounded, if any. Now, there's one. The third one is grounded. Fifth one's grounded, or sixth one. Yeah. So whatever number that is. So let's go down again. That's ground without switch. That's ground without switch. Ground without switch. Okay, now that's interesting, right, to me, because that says right there, not one of those is being grounded from the switch being pressed. There are some grounds there, but they were there before the switch is pressed. So that should be telling, I think, because the way Bob talked, that switch grounds a pin down here somewhere to go to that MCU, and that's what switches it on. Now, my guess was that it went somewhere else, but and you know, I don't know what it would have went to. Again, don't have no schematic to look at, but so like I said, it is something. At least we found out that much, and so I'm gonna put my data together here and find out exactly what's what and who's who, as they say, and then we will go from there. But I may come back on the video and give you a synopsis of what Bob came up with when I gave him the data, and we'll see what happens. So we'll go from there. All right.
All right. So now that we have went through the checking of the pins, I decided to come back and revisit this. They're trying to think how to word this. Bob said the same thing, but he put it a lot better. Okay, so here's our switch. This is the top two pins on it. Again, we found that those go to ground. Both of them do. They are not the same ground, though, I don't believe, because they're not common. There's two different, well, I say there's two different ones. It goes down to this, and this one goes to here, which is, again, a different ground, I think. But anyway, whatever the case is, these two down at the bottom are common. You can touch, you know, one to the other and get a continuity between them using the meter. And so whatever you do to one of these and press the power switch in, it will do that to this. So it's a ground. We'll put it that way. I don't know how you look at it. I guess it depends on how you look at it. But anyway, what I was getting at. I noticed something else when I was doing this. That right there doesn't look like a good connection, and that's that jumper wire. That looks like it could be a cold solder joint or something like that there. I don't know. But it's awfully close to that switch. And, anytime anything's close to the switch, I get a little suspicious. So, but my whole thought train here was on this. I thought what we would do, now this signal, and that's what I'm going to say it, the ground signal that this power button produces, because that's what it does, it grounds out this bottom part of the switch. That has to be going somewhere to that main board. That's my thought process. I don't know how it does it. Bob seemed to think the one over here that's marked jog, he sees jog a lot of other places on the main board and on that processor connector or header. He's thinking that might be the one we're looking for, and he thinks that somewhere between here and getting to the main board, that header, that there's a break somewhere, a break in the trace, a cracked circuit board. With that transformer being loose, it's very, very possible it could have cracked something else. You have to remember that what's located right directly next to that power transformer is that CPU board. It could be cracked. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to put one pointer, one lead of the ohm meter, and it's going to be set to ohms, obviously. I'll put the beep on. Continuity check, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to go through and check every one of these pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pins right there. We're going to check those, and if nothing is found there between that makes a constant circuit between there and there, we'll check these. This has got a jog on it too. You see right there, jog 1. So we'll check all these and see if they have anything. If they don't have anything, that's the only two leads coming from this board going anywhere. And this one actually goes to the main circuit board. So I would, if I'm going to pick one to be the possible carrier of that signal, I would say it's this one here. Now, a lot of times, I don't know how many of you guys follow Erico, people like that do the diagnostics on the cars. They find broken cables inside of insulation. It happens. Again, the same thing with the transformer being loose and FedEx transporting it. Well, you know what can happen. It could have done anything. But so, like I said, if I can find it over here one place, and then I follow these leads down to the other one and don't find it on the other one anywhere, then I'm going to be suspecting, problem with the circuit board or something like that. So that's my next course of action in my book as far as the way I'm going to look at it. And I'm not going to be able to do it this time around, but I'm pretty sure we'll get to it next time. So, like I said, well, if I do find something really quick, I may go ahead and put it on this one. But if not, then we'll have to wait for next time. So. We'll see what happens. Hope you guys stay tuned, and we'll see what happens when we do some tracing.